You already know you are capable of evil. Not the movie villain kind, not the monster kind, the quiet, ordinary, completely normal kind. The most terrifying thing about human nature is not that monsters exist, it is that they do not. Every person you pass on the street believes something about themselves. They believe they are a good person. Most people rate themselves as more moral than average. Think about that for a moment. Most of them cannot be right. Yet the belief remains strong. This is not simple hypocrisy. It is something deeper. It is the human mind protecting itself from a truth it does not want to face. Here is the question that should keep you awake at night. Why do people who see themselves as good sometimes do terrible things? Not because they are evil, because they are human. In 1961, a psychologist named Stanley Milgram wanted to understand how ordinary people could become part of terrible events in history. He created an experiment. Participants believed they were giving electric shocks to another person every time that person answered a question incorrectly. The shocks seemed to become stronger and stronger. The person on the other side screamed, begged, then went silent. The shocks were not real, but the participants did not know that. 65% continued all the way to the highest level because an authority figure simply told them to continue. Many were uncomfortable, some trembled, some cried, yet they kept going. Not because they were cruel, not because they enjoyed it, because someone in authority told them it was necessary. Researchers discovered something disturbing. When people feel controlled by authority, they often stop seeing themselves as fully responsible for their actions. They stop acting as moral decision makers and start acting like tools. The frightening question is not why they obeyed. The frightening question is what would make you stop. A few years later, another psychologist named Zimbardo created a fake prison. Ordinary college students were randomly assigned the role of guard or prisoner. Within days, the guards became abusive. The prisoners became stressed and fearful. The experiment was ended early because it became too dangerous. The students were not monsters. The situation changed them. The role changed them. The system shaped their behavior. This revealed something important. Human behavior is often controlled by circumstances more than we want to admit. We like to think we are independent. We like to think we always make our own choices, but much of the time we follow the rules of the environment around us without noticing. Psychologist Kahneman spent decades studying how the mind works. He found that our brains rely on shortcuts to make decisions quickly. These shortcuts help us survive, but they also create blind spots. We judge situations without realizing it. We trust our assumptions without questioning them. We believe our perspective is the correct one simply because it is ours. One of the strongest forces in human psychology is conformity. People naturally follow the crowd. If everyone around us accepts something, we are more likely to accept it too, even when it feels wrong, even when we know better. History is full of examples of ordinary people making terrible choices because everyone around them was doing the same thing. They were not monsters, they were people, just like us. But here is where the story becomes surprising. Not everyone obeyed. In Milgram's experiment, 35% refused. They stopped. They walked away. They chose not to continue. Researchers looked for what made them different. The answer was not intelligence. It was not bravery. It was not even stronger morals. The biggest factor was previous experience standing up against something they believed was wrong. Even small acts of resistance made people more likely to resist again in the future. This changes everything. It means courage is not something you are born with. It is something you practice. Every time you question something unfair, every time you speak when it would be easier to stay silent, every time you choose your values over comfort, you strengthen that ability. Most people believe they know exactly how they would behave during a moral crisis. But the truth is, we rarely know until we are tested. That is what makes human nature so frightening. The danger is not only failure. The danger is being completely certain you would never fail. Think about your own life. Think about a moment when you stayed quiet, even though you wanted to speak. Think about a moment when you followed the crowd. Think about a decision you knew was wrong, but justified anyway. Almost everyone has experienced moments like these. This is not a story about bad people. It is a story about the gap between who we think we are and who we become under pressure. Hannah Arendt attended the trial of Adolf Eichmann expecting to see a monster. Instead, she saw an ordinary man, a man who claimed he was only following orders. She called this the banality of evil. The idea that terrible things are often carried out not by villains, but by ordinary people who stop questioning what they are doing. People following procedures, people staying in their lane, people convincing themselves they have no choice. The lesson is uncomfortable because it forces us to look in the mirror. Yet there is something hopeful here as well. Awareness creates possibility. Once you understand these psychological forces, you can begin to resist them. So, what should you do? Practice small acts of courage. Question assumptions. Pay attention when everyone agrees too quickly. Ask yourself whether you are thinking carefully or simply following a pattern. Learn to notice what others ignore. The people who stand up during difficult moments are usually not superheroes. They are ordinary people who remain present enough to see what everyone else has stopped seeing. You cannot change human nature, but you can stop pretending you are immune to it. That simple shift may be one of the most important changes a person can make. The most terrifying thing about human nature is not violence, not cruelty, not even indifference. It is the story we tell ourselves, the story that says we are always the good person, the story that says we would have done the right thing, the story that has never truly been tested. History does not judge us by what we believe about ourselves. It judges us by what we do when doing the right thing becomes difficult. And the hardest truth of all is that most of us may never discover who we really are until that moment arrives. The most dangerous person is not the one who knows they are capable of harm. It is the person who is absolutely certain they are not.